Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we uncover the hidden secrets within corporate filings. And today we have a special report from a medical company that is looking to make some big moves, maybe even a little too big for some investors. Get ready because we're diving into a Form 8K that might have some interesting implications for the future. Before we dive deep, if you find value in breaking down complex financial documents into easy to understand insights, make sure you are subscribed. And hey, we've got a fantastic community over on Discord where we discuss these filings even further, so check out the link in the description below. Alright, let's get down to business with enVVeno Medical Corporation. This isn't your typical earnings report, but a current report, an 8K filing, which usually signals that something significant has happened. In this case, it is all about their 2025 annual meeting of stockholders. So, on the 11th of December 2025, the company held its annual meeting, and a good chunk of the shares were represented, about 54.70% of the voting power. That is a pretty decent turnout, meaning a good portion of the owners of the company were dialed in or sending in their say. Now, what happened at this meeting? Well, the stockholders voted to elect two directors, Matthew M. Genusidis and Robert A. Berman. They're set to serve for 3 years, which is a pretty standard term. Looking at the vote for Matthew M. Genusidis, he got 3468484 votes for him, but also 1,796,053 votes withheld. That is a significant number of shareholders saying they weren't quite ready to give him their full backing. For Robert A. Berman, the numbers were more favourable with 4727591 votes for him, and only 536,946 votes withheld. So, one director seems to have stronger support than the other. Next up, they asked stockholders to approve the pay for their top executives. This is an advisory vote, meaning the company doesn't have to follow it, but it is a strong signal of what shareholders think. Out of the votes cast, 319,441 were for the executive pay, but a pretty substantial 196,2414 were against it. That is nearly 2 million votes saying they're not happy with how the executives are being compensated. Add to that 107,982 abstentions and a whopping 579,318 broker non-votes, meaning the brokers who hold shares for their clients didn't get specific instructions on how to vote. We can see a clear division of opinion here about executive compensation. Then there was a vote to ratify the company's choice for their auditor, CB's CPAs PC, for the fiscal year ending the 31st of December 2025. This one passed with flying colours. 10859815 votes were in favour, with only 136,140 against and 62,300 abstentions. It looks like the shareholders are comfortable with who is checking the company's financial books. Now, this is where things get really interesting. The shareholders voted against a new plan, the 2025 Equity Incentive Plan. Only 2,480,922 votes were for it, while a significant 26,21545 votes were against it. This means the company will not be adopting this new plan, and their old 2016 plan will remain in effect. This is a pretty strong message from the shareholders that they don't like the terms of the new equity incentive plan, especially concerning who gets what and how much. It suggests a potential disconnect between management's plans and shareholder expectations regarding stock-based compensation. Sometimes these plans can dilute existing shareholder value, so it's not uncommon for shareholders to push back. And finally, the shareholders gave the board of directors the green light to carry out a reverse stock split. This means they can consolidate shares, for example, turning 10 old shares into one new share. The ratio can be anywhere from 1 for 5 all the way up to 1 for 35. This is often done to increase the per share trading price, making the stock appear more substantial and potentially more attractive to institutional investors. The vote here was largely in favour, with 7312499 votes for it and 157554 against. This shows a general acceptance of the idea, likely to improve market perception. But it is worth keeping an eye on how and when they implement this, as the specific ratio will matter. Moving on, the report also includes an interactive data file, which is basically a way for the SEC to process the information more easily. Nothing too groundbreaking there for us, but it is part of the filing. And then we have the signature section, signed by Robert A. Berman, the Chief Executive Officer, on the 12th of December 2025. This signals the official filing of this report. Now, looking at all of this, enVVeno Medical Corporation seems to be at a crossroads. On one hand, they have shareholder support for a reverse stock split, which can be a signal of management's confidence in future growth or an attempt to meet listing requirements. However, the strong opposition to the executive pay and the outright rejection of the new equity incentive plan are significant red flags. It suggests that shareholders are scrutinizing management's decisions very closely and are not afraid to voice their disapproval. The withheld votes for one director also hint at some potential internal concerns, or at least a lack of unanimous confidence. The company is presenting a picture of preparing for a potential uplift with the reverse split, but the underlying shareholder sentiment on compensation and future equity structures raises questions about alignment between management and owners. The key risk here is that if management and shareholders are not on the same page regarding incentives and compensation, it can lead to a lack of focus and ultimately hinder the company's progress. The opportunity, however, lies in the potential for improved market perception and investor interest if the reverse split is handled well, and if the company can address the concerns around executive compensation and equity plans in the future. For now, it looks like a company that is pushing for change, but the shareholders are demanding accountability and a fair shake. Alright, that is our breakdown of enVVeno Medical Corporation's latest report. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think the reverse stock split is a good move, or are the shareholder concerns about pay more important? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps us out, and subscribing ensures you don't miss more of these deep dives. And don't forget to join the conversation on our Discord server, linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.